Welcome to Pixel Therapy, the video game podcast where we look at the games we played through the lens of the player. For what you play is just as important as how you play it, and where emotional intelligence is a critical stat. I'm your co-host Jamie, pronoun she, they,
And I'm your co-host Spencer, pronouns they, them.
and this is Pixel Therapy. If
Hi.
you're Hi. If you're new to the podcast, please consider checking out our Patreon at patreon.com/pixeltherapypod, where you can subscribe for free to stay up to date on all things pixel therapy. It's the best way to find all of our podcast streams and written thoughts and get notified whenever we put out new content. If you're looking for other ways to support the show, please consider rating and reviewing us on Apple Podcasts and subscribe to the Pixel Therapy Pod YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/@pixeltherapypod, where we'll continue to post live recordings of all of our episodes. And of course, know that no matter how you choose to engage with us, we appreciate you being here all the same.
Sure do.
All right, time to get cozy. Time to pull up an armchair. Feel free to lie down on the couch. And let's talk about our feelings. Spencer, how are you?
I'm well. I've been living in Australia and at times Mexico.
Not for
You
real,
know,
though.
not for real though, in the body of Norman Reedus, who's
Spencer is now a Death Stranding fan, folks. That's
I'm the
the
biggest Death Stranding fan that ever lived.
the
Don't ask
biggest.
me about Death Stranding 1. Never heard of it. Don't know anything about that. But I love Death Stranding 2. Game of the year, folks.
Wow. Wow. You think it's your favorite game you played this year?
It's my favorite game I've played since Persona 5
Holy
Royal.
wait. Better than Metaphor?
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Better than Metaphor
Oh, shoot.
Fantasio?
Okay, real. This is gonna be a tough winter for me in my brain as I decide which
Well,
was my
Metaphor was
game of the
last
year.
year, so you don't gotta
Wait,
worry about
what?
that.
Oh,
Yeah,
wait,
Metaphor was last
what?
fall. We played Metaphor last fall. That was your number
What's
one game for the
time?
year of 2024. Metaphor was your game of the year.
I don't know what
I'm
day
glad
it
that
is.
we continue to I continue to be your memories.
I need like my external hard drive. I can't function without them. Like, what
Yeah,
do you
no. So
mean?
Metaphor Fantasia was your 2024 game of the year, buddy.
What's
So
the
you don't
game I
gotta
played this
worry.
year?
Clear Obscure? You really like that one.
Okay.
You like that one.
That was good. That was good.
Oh.
This
You played Split
is
Fiction? I don't know. You played some
eh.
other ones. You played Wander Stop.
Yeah, that was true. That was
You need to
good.
start a backlogged.
I really do. I need to start writing things down.
Just write it down one place. Just
I need
one
to
place.
log into my backlogged
Do you have one? You made one?
GG. I did make
You're
one.
conflating two different there's GG is an app for tracking
God,
games. There's also Backlogged. You
I'm
can
a
use
mess.
either one. You can also use the Notes app on your cellular telephone. Whatever whatever floats your
So
boat.
smart.
But I would maybe start writing it down.
Yeah, I should do that.
But
But
yeah,
regardless.
Regardless, yep. So, this year's gonna be easier than you thought.
Yeah.
But we are getting
It's
Ghost of Yotai.
locked in.
Yotai?
True.
Don't count
And
that
that
one out.
looks pretty awesome too.
Looks pretty good.
It does seem to slay. So I don't know. Ask me in November. When is that coming out? October?
Yeah, it's one of those
We got a
ones.
release date, I think.
Are you even gonna remember you played Death Stranding 2 come January 2026?
Who knows?
That's the real question. But your favorite game ever, I'm sorry, I completely derailed what you were saying here. You love Death Stranding 2.
It's just I get it now. I didn't get Death Stranding as a concept when the first one came out. You were playing it. You told me it was cool. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, seems like a walking simulator.
Why?
Why?
Kind of is. Yeah.
Kind of is.
Kind
And
of is.
yet
With like
it's
20-minute
also
movies
peak.
of like the most unhinged lucid dream.
Yes. So much
infused
emotion.
things. Yeah.
I just feel like, I feel like it's one of those games. I feel like I was saying to a friend of mine the other night that, like, Death Stranding 2, and I'm
This
sure
is are
people
you
feel
talking to your Death Stranding friend?
my Death Stranding friend. Hi,
Yeah.
Eric, if you're listening.
Spencer has a Death Stranding friend, and I'm not
Like, literally
jealous.
all we talk about is Death Stranding. I mean, and that's why I keep bugging you to play so that
Yeah,
I can send you my Death Stranding text.
I hope one day that I'll stand on the edge of the mountain with you and see your Death Stranding friend, and we'll all be, like, screaming Death Stranding from the mountaintop, but right now, I'm not seeing it, but we'll see.
Yeah. But it's like, I feel like games in general, when people come together to make a game, it's like so many different people have to coordinate and work together to make it happen, and it's full of so many personal lore and references and blood and sweat and tears, and so this game feels like I think a lot of the scenes and directorial choices, they're supposed to come off as, like, cringe and make you go like, "What the hell is this?" But instead, there's, like, this earnestness baked into the game so that when they happen, it feels, like, epic and rewarding and emotional, and there's just this, you can see the heart, like, the beating heart of this game, and the fact that it's a game about connection made by so many people, and it seems to celebrate and be self-aware of itself and of game making in general. So, like, that part of it just really hit for me, I think. Also, I'm like, Norman Reedus is so hot, so, like, that's part of it too for me, can't lie. Norman Reedus and Troy Baker together, it's kinda like chemistry off the charts. Also, I just love that Troy Baker, you can tell he's having so much fun being Higgs, like a villain in this game, and he's just giving his all to it, and that's fun to see as well. So, I don't know, man, just that's my Death Stranding 2 soundbite.
Okay, yeah, well, we'll leave it at that for now. I am playing the game. I'm not too far in. I'm, like, less than 10 hours, so I probably got a good
That's
30
not
to
too far
40 to
in.
go. It's not, unfortunately. Uh, but yeah, we are currently planning to talk about Death Stranding 2 for our next podcast. You'll get to hear all of our thoughts, and hopefully I won't be a grumpy old rain cloud just raining all over Spencer's Death Stranding 2 parade by the time we get there. Hopefully I'll be I'll be totally sold.
You'll be converted.
Yeah, converted. Good. Yeah.
How are you?
I'm okay. I've been watching some stuff.
Oh.
Been watching some stuff.
Okay.
Watched the new season of The Bear.
Oh, yes.
Real fucking good.
Okay. That's
Made
what
me
I
cry
hear.
multiple times.
Oh.
Really liked
Happy
it.
tears or sad?
Sometimes a mix, but it was all
Okay.
good. It's coming from a good stuff.
Alright.
Good stuff in the show. Yeah, as someone who really enjoyed the first 2 seasons of The Bear, last season I didn't think was quite up to par, mostly just cuz like I don't know, I feel like I appreciate what they were trying to do with last season, but it wasn't necessarily enjoyable to watch.
Yeah.
And I felt like it kind of dragged a bit too long with characters being kind of stuck in some bad cycles.
Yeah.
I think that this season is the payoff to the last season. So if you were a little bit lower on the Bear last season and you also felt like, man, characters are just making bad decisions and stuck in bad cycles, and I don't want to just watch these people that I love like not address any of their issues. This season is about people trying to address stuff and working through it better, and still continues to like just have really beautiful moments between people. And sometimes it's a little overwrought, but it's still really good TV and like characters a lot. So
Okay.
thumbs up. Really like the new season of The Bear.
Nice.
I saw the new Superman movie.
Oh, yeah.
Also
You
made me
mean
cry a little
Woke
bit.
Man?
Woke Man, yeah. I cannot. First of all, I think, like, please, conservatives, tell me more how I'm the snowflake. But, like, it is hilarious to me how mad this film has made conservatives. Also, accusing Superman of being woke is just like, have you ever interacted with Superman outside of the Zack Snyder films because this is who Superman always was.
Mm.
This is the character. He is the Boy Scout. Like,
Mhm.
did you think he
Yeah.
was gonna be like I don't know why you thought he was gonna be different. Um, I really like the movie. It's a really enjoyable movie. It's James Gunn. I think James Gunn does, like, good heartfelt stuff in the like,
Mhm.
mixed in with a bunch of wacky shit, and it's fun. Maybe it could have been a little shorter. Maybe it
Mm.
had some stuff that played a little rough, but, like, 95% of the movie is there and really good.
How long
And
is it?
It's like 2.5 hours, which is pretty,
Okay.
like, normal for a
Standard.
super yeah, it's standard, unfortunately, for a superhero film these days, but I didn't feel it, like, I wasn't, like,
Mm.
sitting there watching the movie like, "God, this is still going." It's more just, like, it's a little bit all over the place sometimes, but that's okay, kept it interesting,
Alright.
um and I liked all the side characters that they brought into the movie, and fucking Superman says free Palestine. There's like a pretty explicit like Israel-Palestine dynamic happening,
Mm.
and guess what? Superman's not on Israel's side,
Mm.
folks. Yeah, there's some pretty blatant I was pretty impressed with
Okay.
how clear the metaphor was presented on screen.
Mm.
And it's not just like Superman just saying a piece of dialogue, like
Yeah.
multiple superheroes stick up for Palestine, like the
Mm.
Palestine equivalent in this film.
Mhm.
And it was cool. It was cool to see.
Okay.
Cool to see James Gunn go there, that the studio let him go there in the current
Yeah.
climate. Um, yeah. So go see Superman.
Hmm.
Superman's actually pretty good.
Wow,
It's
maybe I'll pay money to see a superhero film.
yeah, yeah, I know. It's wild, but it was like pretty refreshing and felt I mean, it definitely it I feel like yeah, the MCU has become pretty rote at this point,
Mhm.
and this stuff it felt fresh for a superhero film. So, I had a good time.
Okay.
And then the final thing that I watched,
Yeah.
Yuri on Ice. Finally watched Yuri on
Oh
Ice.
my god!
The
What?
lovely anime.
Why haven't you said anything before now?
It was a surprise. Are you surprised?
I am surprised.
No, I don't know. I feel like a lot of times I watch stuff in the evenings and you work until late in the evening and then you were
Oh.
playing Death Stranding and then you were going to bed. And I don't want to just bother you with texts about Yuri on Ice. So anyway,
Uh,
I watched it this week and I liked it quite a bit.
yeah.
It like made me like figure skating, which I didn't think was a thing that
Yeah.
could happen. Like I
Yeah.
actually think the animation quality and the quality of like the music and the presentation of figure skating as an anime is
Mhm.
those were the absolute highlights for me. Actually,
Agreed.
I was a little bit disappointed in the relationship between the 2 main characters, like, I just
Mm.
wanted more of
Mhm.
their relationship, but I think that's probably
Yeah.
a product of, like, the time when it was
Yeah.
created and cultural stuff.
Yeah.
So, it is technically considered like a boys love anime, and there is, like I mean, it's fairly explicit for, like, all of those other elements that are coming to like, it's explicit for when it was made and, like, the culture in
Mhm.
which it was made and the time of all of that, but, like, for today's standards, it feels woefully inexplicit,
Yeah.
while still being,
Yeah.
like, very I don't know, it toes this very strange line where you, like there's no denying that
Right.
Yuri and his coach Victor are in a romantic relationship with each other. You couldn't watch the show and not take that away from it, and yet at the
Mhm.
same time, we're given so little of their actual, like the minutia of their actual relationship, like why they like each other, like what their
Mhm.
romantic dynamic is, and all that, so it toes this weird line. But the figure
Yeah.
skating stuff is fantastic, and, it's also just really nice to watch an anime that's, like, done. Like, it's 12
Yeah.
episodes, and that's it. We're good.
I know.
And the theme
That's
song
nice.
opening credits, like, one of my favorites
So
of any
good.
anime I've ever seen. That song, like, now lives in my head rent free. It's been added to my Spotify
Oh
playlist,
my god.
and, like, just the animations of the skaters, they're all really beautiful.
Oh,
Like,
gorgeous.
really, really gorgeous animation.
Dude, I've been brought to tears by some of those figure skating sequences, like, just so
Yeah.
gorgeously
Yeah.
done.
It gave me a whole new appreciation for what figure skating even is as a
Mm,
sport. Like, I still don't know if I would, like, just go watch it, but, like, I feel like I could watch it and have a much better understanding of it now, having seen this anime. So,
mhm.
yeah, really,
Ugh,
really cool.
man, I gotta go watch that again.
Yeah, it's good stuff. It's a good recommendation from you. Thank
Aw.
you.
Well, shout out shout out to Lou and Grayson, friends of mine who made me watch it, and now
There you go, full circle.
we passed the baton. Oh my god, I'm so happy you watched it.
Yeah,
And
it's
get ready
good.
to watch it again with
Why?
me.
Oh, okay. I was like, "Wait, why?" Alright, should we talk about the game that we came to discuss today?
Yeah, let's do that.
Does that sound okay to you?
I
I
guess so.
don't know, you don't seem that enthusiastic, I'm getting mixed
No, my
signals.
god, oh my god. No, yes, yes, yes.
I guess if we have to, let's talk about Everdeep Aurora. So this is a 2D pixel art exploration adventure game where you play as a young cat child named Shell who is searching for her mother in the middle of an apocalypse. Right from the beginning of the game, we learn that the planet on which Everdeep Aurora takes place is being bombarded with meteors that are falling from the planet's shattered moon. And so the inhabitants of the planet have moved underground to survive. And this is something that's been kind of going on for a long time, this meteor shower. At the beginning of the game, Shell receives a drill from a helpful frog named Ribbert, who is also searching for someone, and players playing as Shell begin their journey down towards the Everdeep, encountering characters and mysteries as they go. The game notably has no combat and no player death. It also has no quest log or objective markers. Shell's story will be what you make of it. Who will you help, and how deep will you go? Everdeep Aurora came to Switch and PC on July 10th. It's developed by Nautilus Games and published by Ysbryd Games. And this is one of the games that you and I got to check out at PAX West last year, and it really caught our eyes in our
Mhm.
hands-on demos. This was one of the last 2 demos that we did of our very long and exhausting PAX West weekend.
Yes.
And it was notable because they let us go into the little media booth,
Yeah, it was
which was
great.
very nice. It was so quiet. It's like this little,
Yeah.
like, trailer that they park
Uh,
in the conference room floor, and
luxurious.
yeah, there was, like, a little couch in there. We got to sit
Mhm,
down. It was so quiet and cozy.
mhm.
We played some Everdeep Aurora, and got really excited to play this game. So, now you've played the whole game,
I have.
Spencer. What do you think of Everdeep Aurora?
Yeah, I think, at first, I think I was most impressed by the fact that literally, like, you have this drill and you just start drilling down, and it's like basically like a grid of squares,
Mhm.
and you drill a path down and you can jump to get back up. But I think at the beginning I was really anxious about, like, what if I drill myself into a position where I can't jump up and navigate back to places I want to get to? And I was just super floored and, like, really impressed by the fact that that never became, like, a permanent issue. Like, either I learn like, eventually you learn how to wall jump, or you find a friend who can carry you for a couple moments so you can get across wider gaps, or, like, things happen to make traversal a little bit easier, and I was just, like, super amazed by the sort of deceptive simplicity of this map where, like, theoretically, I could see myself digging myself into a literal hole where, like, I would be stuck, and that never came to pass. So it was just I don't know, that, like, really impressed me, and I did enjoy the game. I was also I'm someone who loves maps and objective markers.
Mhm.
So I was kinda like, "How the hell am I gonna keep everything straight?" I can't even remember what game I played this year last year, but, um, but I made it. So if I
You
can do
did.
it, you can.
What did you play the game on? About how long did you spend with it?
I played it on the Steam Deck,
Okay.
my
Yep.
bestie,
Yep.
and, I put in like 15, it said 14.5 hours.
Considerable. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I also was well, yeah, I similarly was unsure how this game was gonna land for me, even though I thought it was really cute and we had the demo and I was excited to play it. I am also someone who I prefer to have quest markers.
Mm,
Straight up exploration games are not typically my jam. I like a world that has some limits built into it
mhm,
because I can feel really overwhelmed when a game is just super open ended. I think what ultimately ended up really working for Everdeep about Everdeep Aurora for me was how contained the world is. Even
mm,
though you're not given a set path to go on, except for, the vague notion of down. Um, and even though you don't have objective markers and you don't have a quest log, because the game is it's so short and the world is like pretty contained to a reasonable, you do have a little kind of map. You eventually get a map on the right hand side of the screen, but it's not like it shows you the whole world. It just gives you a
mhm,
window of the area that you're in, and then it will, after you've found a person or a point of interest, it will put a little mark on that. So you can't, it's not like you can be somewhere far away from that point of interest and open up a map and figure out how to get back to it. But if you're within spitting distance of the thing, you can see an indicator of where it's at in relation
mhm.
to you and try to get there. So it gives you you have enough of a visual there, and the actual like width of the area that you're digging down through is not so vast that you can't feel like you feel like you can see everything, within reason if you're, intentional about how you move through the space. So,
Yeah.
uh, the exploration doesn't feel, I hate just being thrown into like a super open place, and being told like, yeah, things could be anywhere. Good luck, find them. And it just
Yeah.
feels, I don't want to feel like I'm wasting my time or like I'm getting lost in backtracking. And because everything was so compressed in Everdeep Aurora, it avoided me ever feeling that way. I generally felt like I knew if I and if I encountered someone who needed a thing, I generally had a rough idea of how to get back to them. But it does ask you to keep that all in your head, and so that could be a challenge for some folks, for sure.
Mhm.
Even just in an accessibility sense, it could be a challenge. So you may want to take notes, or I took a
Yeah.
handful of screenshots as I was playing the game to try to remember where things were
Same.
at. It does do some other things with like the color of the world. So it's got this, 2D pixel art style. It's meant to evoke, like, I think, Game Boy design in the way it's even the playable space is not as wide as the monitor or the screen that you're playing it
Mhm.
on. Um, so it's got this more like, tight rectangular, gameplay space. But as you move down through the world, the color of the mostly things have like a it's not exactly black and white. I think at first it's like a black and red and
Like a
white.
tint. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, things get a tint. The world gets a tint to it. So as you go further down, the color of that tint changes. So that can help you to kind of remembering, oh, well, that was up in the blue area or that was up in the red area. You can kind of figure out how to navigate back to something. But overall,
Mhm.
I really enjoyed this game. I I played it on the Switch too, and it won't
Ooh.
generate the yeah. This is the second game that I played on my Switch too. It won't generate the, like, amount of time that I played the game because I don't
Oh.
Switch is
Classic
weird.
Nintendo. They're so weird on the Switch. It's
It's
like,
very
even
weird.
on the Switch one, it'll be like, you played about
Yeah, it
3
does this about
hours."
thing and it rounds it by 5 hours.
Yeah, like,
But so for
what?
other games that I have played on the Switch too, when I go into my online profile, which is where you can find your game, it'll tell you your game clock for the 20 most recent games that you've played. All
Mhm.
the other games that I played have an amount of time listed there. For this one, it's like last played 10 days ago, or like first played 10 days ago. That's what it says.
Mm.
I'm like, first, it just isn't generating the runtime. So I genuinely don't know how many hours I put into the game. I think it was
Yeah.
about 10. It was
Okay.
maybe a bit more than that, maybe a bit less than that, but it was about 10.
Yeah.
And I ultimately really enjoyed those 10 hours. I think, we can dig into it more as we go, but when I first hit what I thought was the ending of the game, I was definitely a little disappointed because I felt like I'd kinda, like, dug into mysteries that I wanted to see the
Mm,
rest of. And I think, in reflecting after finishing the game a few days ago, I do think, because you can I rebooted and I kept playing and I found there's, like, ultimately, like, kinda 3 different ending moments that you can hit with the game, and then you're given a decision at each of those moments. So there's, like, actually, like, 4 different ending scenes you can see. Um, but I think I might have gotten a little too focused on the mystery
mm,
aspect of the game and lost the forest for the trees a little bit.
mm,
But yeah, let's talk more about it. So the story of this game is, as I said, you're the little cat Shell, and you're looking for your mom. You wake up on this bench up on the surface of the earth, and it's raining, and meteors are falling from the
yeah,
sky. And your mom just left you a note, being like, "If I'm not there when you wake up, come find me in the usual place."
right.
Uh, I believe Aurora
Okay,
is your
mom.
mother's name. She's maybe
Yes.
not winning Mother of the Year award here, because you as the player don't know what the usual place is, so
Right,
I
no.
assume Shell doesn't know what the usual place is. So, like, thanks, mom. So, yeah, then you just wander around the surface until you find Ribbert, and he is like, "Here, take my drill." Your mom probably is at one of the community centers further down below, community shelters further down below. And so then you start digging and you start finding other characters in the world. And I think that's probably what really shines with Everdeep Aurora
Mhm.
is the different characters that you can find, the feeling of discovery, of coming across a new place and a new location, and then completing these kind of like not exactly side quests for
Yeah,
the different characters.
yeah.
Um, one of the first people you come across is a blacksmith. He's a large goat man, and he offers to help you upgrade your drill, and also lets you know that he's missing some gloves. So from there, you can continue digging through, and if you find the gloves, you can bring those back up to him, and you'll get like a narrative moment with him. But again, it never marks that anywhere for you.
Mhm.
There's no log that says. I think his name is Remulus. There's no
Yeah,
log that says Remulus is looking for his gloves. You just have
right.
to encounter that. Um, what were some of your kind of like like moments that unearthed as you were exploring in the game? What stands out to
Yeah,
you?
I also enjoyed interacting with Remulus. There
Mhm.
was, like, a secret garden that I
Yeah.
found, and, there was, like, a little puppy who was lost, and I helped him, find his family back in the garden.
Mhm.
Further down, there's, like, this there was, like, this lively band playing, and a bar, and the bartender's like, "There's nothing for you here, like, outta here, scram." Um, there's this whole, like, unrequited love situation between, like, a male person and, person who delivers mail and this fishing otter, and they're, like, in this long distance relationship because his, like, fishing lake is a ways away from the post office. Yeah, those were some of my standout moments, and, of course, it was always fun to stumble across Ribbert the frog again, who kind of becomes, like, a, um milestone marking kind of character. Like when you come across him, it's like a segment of the story is moving forward as you're continuing to work your way down. And it would always seem like at moments where I was like, huh, haven't seen that guy in a while. I would like break through and fall down and he'd be right there. So like I just felt like the pacing was handled really well considering what I would assume. I mean, I guess the map isn't, like, huge, but I just
Mhm.
thought it all worked surprisingly well considering all the variability in where players might go and how they might choose to traverse the terrain. Like, I think I keep coming back to, like, I really liked how fresh it felt to be in this totally open environment where you could discover things in an order that made sense to you and still kind of get to the right place. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, it was well designed in my opinion. So
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
I agree with that. The Yeah, I agree with that. I didn't have another point to put on that. Um, it was well paced. You kind of the game has these kind of like boundaries or walls that it kind of puts up that will stop you around your drill not being able to go as you go deeper. You hit earth that your drill can't go through
Mhm.
anymore, and so that kind of prevents you from getting too deep without resolving kind of whatever the main quest story is for that area that you're in.
Yeah.
So if you start hitting that, then you have to go back up and keep exploring that area until eventually you find the thing that's gonna move the narrative forward, and then, I think in most cases, Ribbert, is the character who will kinda give you what you need to keep going, next as y'all come back down. Ribbert also functions as, like, a safety mechanism, so if you do manage to, get yourself stuck somewhere that you can't get out of, you can press a button and call for him, and he'll kinda, like on the screen, it kinda looks like he, like, drops a rope down to you basically, and will bring you back up
Ah.
to one of the camp locations. So as you progress your way down deeper and deeper, there's these kind of checkpoints of these different, survivor, like, refugee camp kind of locations that, the characters in the world have established, and Ribbert will bring you can select which camp you wanna be brought back up to, so that's also a way to very quickly, like, jump back up, 'cause what by the
I
time I got to
see.
the end game, I was
Yeah.
trying to resolve mysteries, and I was kind of, like, going back and forth, up and down, and I was using that, like, sort of fast travel system, basically to move quickly
Ah.
through the depths, and try to find
Ah.
things.
That's smart. I don't know, for some reason in my head, I thought, like, I only had a limited amount of times
Mm.
I could use his help, so I, like, never ended up using it because I was so scared of, like,
Oh.
wasting. I don't know why I got it in my head. This is probably something to unpack psychologically, but, like, my other thing was, like, so your drill has this battery that
Mhm.
that runs down as you're drilling,
Yep.
and first you start out with, like, 1 or 2 cells, and then something you can unlock as the game keeps going is you can add on more cells until you get up to, like, 6, I think, is the max amount of battery cells. Um, and there are these kind of stations, like drill charging points where, like, you find a little structure and you can charge up your drill and refill the battery. There were so many moments where, like, I was running out of battery and because there's no it's not like on the little mini map, it marks, like, "There's a drill charger here." Like, you kinda just have to remember where they are. There were so many moments where I was, like, getting so close to running out of battery, and I got in my head that if I ran out of battery, the game would end or I would die or something. So I kept having these, like, moments where I would, like, massively retrace my steps because I was like, "If I die, I'm gonna have no idea where I am or how to get back to this point, so I just can't die." So that's probably my one friction point is, like, I would get to a spot, and then I would kinda get scared to proceed because I knew I didn't have enough battery to get to the
Do you
next
know what
point.
actually happens when you run out of battery?
What?
Nothing. Your drill
Um,
continues to work, it just runs slower.
no!
This game literally has no fail state. Like, you can't
Ah!
you can't die, there's no combat, you can't get yourself in any situation that you can't get out of. There's no reason that the game would need to be reset.
Mm,
I think I might have reloaded it one time because I legit like, the game was bugging out, I got stuck in a
mhm,
wall.
mm.
Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's, yeah, they intended it to be, like, very encouraging of, get out there and just explore, and also you're a little kid, so they didn't want you to
Right.
be in real physical danger in that sense. Um
Yeah, what do you think about people calling this game a Metroidvania?
um, I don't I don't think that's accurate.
Mhm,
Because to me well, this may be me having a misunderstanding of the Metroidvania genre, but my one of the core tenets of Metroidvania to me is, for one thing, I think a map is actually pretty key to a Metroidvania. I think,
mm,
like, having a map that you're looking at to backtrack to areas is, like, a pretty key component of a Metroidvania, but also there's multiple, uh, typically in a Metroidvania, there's multiple abilities that you're gonna get that are gonna unlock different areas, and I actually don't think
Mm,
outside of that one boundary that they put in place to prevent you from going too deep until you've advanced the story, there's nothing about this game that requires you to unlock anything to go back and find.
yeah.
Like, yeah, I don't know. I don't to me, because it's not grounded in your ability set to be able to navigate things, and I
Mhm.
also think I I can't say this with 100% certainty, but I'm pretty sure that I don't know that you need all of the traversal upgrades to be able to see everything that's in the game. I think there might be other ways around things, and it's not like you have to have the upgrade to be able to get everything.
Mm.
I
Yeah,
could be wrong
maybe.
about that, and there's also only 3 traversal upgrades, and yeah, I don't know. This doesn't seem like a Metroidvania to me personally.
Mhm.
To me, I do think exploration adventure game is more the right way to put it. I think Metroidvanias almost always have combat, although I guess I don't know if that's necessarily a core tenet of a Metroidvania. I just really consider a Metroidvania to be like things are intentionally locked to you until you get an ability that unlocks that spot. I
Yeah.
think yeah, I don't know. It definitely has elements of a Metroidvania, but I would not personally classify this as.
Yeah,
What do
what's
you
with all
think?
the labels, people? Can't we
What?
let things be, um, what they are? I mean, it has some challenging platforming moments, which I feel like, okay, if a Metroidvania is side-scrolling with platforming elements and requires, I mean, there are, like, keys or certain items that you need to be able to get into certain doors, like, okay. But I think for me, the complete lack of, I think my other key component of a Metroidvania is stress. Like, there's usually some like, really difficult, combat component. That's what I think of when I think of Metroidvania, I think of Metroid. I think of things flying towards me from all directions,
Mhm.
and I'm bullet helling my way out of there and
Yeah.
trying to fend off
Or even the
creatures.
other part of that, Castlevania, which is also super combat focused.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, I think the complete lack of that makes it something else for me because I
Yeah.
wasn't stressed out.
According to Wikipedia,
Mhm.
Metroidvania is a subgenre of action adventure games. So that right there, action adventure and or
Mm,
platformers focused on nonlinear exploration. We do have that,
mm,
and guided progression with the need to acquire key items to enter certain areas. The term is a partial blend of the names of the video game series Metroid and Castlevania. These games usually feature a large interconnected world map the player can explore. So I think again, I do think the lack of a map uh, in Everdeep Aurora is part of why I don't consider a Metroidvania. It says
mhm.
although parts of the world will be inaccessible to the player until they acquire special items, tools, weapons, abilities, or knowledge within the game. Acquiring such improvements can also aid the player in defeating more difficult enemies and locating shortcuts in secret areas, and often includes retracing one's steps across the map.
Mm, okay.
So, it's probably on the line, but
Yeah.
Metroidvania is not the first term that comes to mind for me personally for this because of the lack of a map, and I think, you know, similar to what you're saying, that lack of a stress factor, the action is not in the game. You're not you're
Yeah.
not on there's no combat, no action. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I think those are 2 pretty big factors, and I do think the, like, requirement of having certain abilities to be able to progress through things is maybe not s much lighter than it would be in a typical Metroidvania.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I can certainly recall a couple, um, moments where I could not, no matter what I did, I could not get to a certain platform or point in a
Mhm.
space that I needed to get to until I later unlocked an ability that I could come back and do it again.
Okay.
So, like, I can
Yeah.
see that part, but again, like you said, it was lighter than I would come to expect from most Metroidvanias. So,
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, what else do I wanna talk about with this? You also are finding for the drill fuel, you have to find redstone to replace that. I
Mhm,
think you touched on that a little bit. But you can also find while you're drilling different types of ores that you can bring back to Bremulus to upgrade your drill. You don't have to have those drill upgrades to progress through the game. They're very much just drill faster, um, and drill. Is it just faster? What's the
faster,
other?
and then one takes less battery
Oh,
power, like, your
okay.
drill
Yeah,
lasts
yeah,
longer.
that's what it.
Yeah.
Um, I found that the platforming could be a little bit janky at times.
Mhm,
Sometimes it was like, I feel like I should be able to do this, and I would just keep
mhm.
trying to do it exactly the same way, and then finally it would work.
Yeah,
And so
which
there
felt
were
retro too.
yeah, yeah, felt retro. Was occasionally frustrating though.
Yeah.
Um, I appreciated the no fail state. I appreciated the multiple endings. Uh, I want to talk a little bit about some of the themes in the game because I think uh, this game does a lot with a little, with very
Mhm,
little. There's no voice acting. It's all, text on a screen when you're talking to characters, and there isn't that much dialogue in the game. Shell is also like very quiet. She's pretty
mhm.
basically a silent protagonist. She meows at times,
Yeah.
which is cute as fuck but doesn't actually like speak in a you can't read what her thoughts are. um I thought that because the game has all of these quests where people need a thing or they're looking for a thing or something is lost or you find an item and then eventually you find the person that goes to. It does have this effect of making Shell feel like even though she herself is lost and digging through the earth to find her mother who just kind of left her behind with very little instruction, and the world is literally collapsing, like,
Yeah.
these meteors are falling from the sky. She's still helping people. She's still, you even have a scene where you can kind of like resist an oppressive like person, not an institution, but there's a girl who's kind of like hiding from her stepmom, and the stepmom really wants to know where the girl is, and you can just refuse to tell the stepmom,
Mhm.
and that has negative consequences for Shell, but I don't know. I that so I thought there was a pretty like clear theme in the game of community care in times of like apocalypse. How even though we might not know where we're going or what we're trying to do, like we can still help each other. There's still
Yeah.
opportunities to help each other that you can be lost yourself and still offer help to other people
Right.
around
Yeah.
you. And I
Yeah.
thought that was a pretty, important and, well delivered message for
Yeah.
these trying times.
Yeah, and even, like, in the face of the apocalypse, all we can do is turn to each other because when the, infrastructure falls and we have to create new ways of living, it's like all we can do is really lean on each other. That's the other piece that I took away from it as well, based in addition to what you're saying. Um, yeah.
I also with the, and this is where I feel like I think if I had focused more on that as being like kind of what the game was saying and not gotten as hung up as I did on what the mystery of as you're moving down in the
Low
game.
key, I'm super confused on what the broader picture is. So yeah, you
Okay.
say
Yes, but
more.
okay, so how many of the endings did you find? Let's start there.
I
I don't wanna spoil the
yeah,
endings yet. Maybe we can feel out if we
yeah.
wanna get into real spoilers here in a second, but right now, don't spoil anything, but how many of the endings did you uncover?
I uncovered one ending and
Okay.
then I watched another ending
Okay.
and I
Okay.
was like, "What?" So
Okay. I uncovered all 3 of the, like, ending
nice.
moments and like, made all of the different decisions to see all the different endings.
Do you just
There
keep playing to unlock the other endings or do
Yeah,
you have to go
so
back?
basically when you hit an ending, and this is something that I found a bit disappointing about the game.
Mm,
When you hit an ending,
mhm.
you hit a character who's like, "Okay, this is it. This is the wall. This is the ending."
Mhm.
They will have a few lines of dialogue with you, and then they'll give you a choice, and as soon as you make the choice, the credits roll,
Mhm.
and you get, like, a little bit of a scene that plays out in the credits, but, like, that's it. It feels very abrupt. The
Mhm.
credits scroll by pretty quick, like, not a ton of people worked on this game, which, like, congrats for them. I think, they did a great job for such a small team, but,
Yeah.
the credits roll, those don't take very long, and then you're kicked back out to the main menu, and you can then hit continue and load from your last save, which
Oh,
the
okay,
game
right.
saves when you go to the camps, the shelter
Uh-huh.
camps that Ribbert is at. So, you just reload from your last save, and then it's like the ending never happened,
Yeah.
and you can go back to exploring and see what else you can uncover. So, it's not like the endings really, like, stack on each other, but, like, the first one that I think most people probably encounter is, like, pretty basic, and if you hit that, like I did, where you've started to get pieces of a mystery put together, but you don't really know what's happening, all of a sudden this character's just like, "Great, all done. Here you go. Bye." And
Yeah.
it's just like, What?" Like,
Yeah.
I've got, like, 17 questions. And then I got to the end of the game and I still had, like, 15 questions,
Mhm.
like, by the time I actually, like, fully said I was done. I think and maybe I'm not supposed to know, or maybe there's stuff I just didn't find. I feel like I was pretty thorough between, like, both the amount of time that I put into the game and then the bit of Googling that I've done afterwards to try to see if I missed anything. I do think the, like, core mystery of what happened to these people is maybe a little bit muddy. And to some extent, maybe that's intentional, but I definitely felt a little bit confused about what exactly the history of these people on this planet was. I also think though that it doesn't take away from kind of this the game has, I'd say, a running theme of how we narrativize things to ourselves in a culture and as a people and, like, throughout history. Like, humans are storytellers by nature. That's, like, a
Yeah.
it's how we process things. It's how
Yeah.
we, uh, pass information down from generation to generation is through stories. And I think this game is trying, and I think for the most part succeeding in poking at this idea of, like, who gets left out of those stories, who gets to tell the stories, and how that actually, like, relates to what the real factual history of what happened is.
Mhm.
Um, and especially in the culture that exists within the game that seems pretty, um they don't have a lot of documents and records of what happened. It is more of, like, these are the stories that have been passed down. um, there's been elements of their history that have been able to be swept under the rug and essentially hidden and ignored because of decisions that people in power have made. And that has rippling effects through everybody who was involved in the reshaping of those narratives and
Yeah.
how there's allusions in the game to a war that happened, and I never got clarity on
Right.
what was this war? Who did you fight it against? Like, who was
Uh-huh.
involved? How long
Okay, it's not
ago?
just me.
Yeah, no, I don't think it was just you. I think there's some stuff that's genuinely a little unclear. And yeah, I don't know. I think the game I would have ultimately left more satisfied. Excuse me. I would have ultimately left the game more satisfied if I felt like I had all of those answers. I can also see what they were maybe trying to do, which was suggest that you don't need all of those answers to understand the gist of what has happened here, which is that at some point, the people in power decided to lie about other people that were part of the civilization, and they rewrote history in effect, and
Mhm.
that has had a damaging and, like, that secret is contributing to the collapse of the planet.
Right.
And, I think there's a metaphor there that's, like, pretty easy to extract of,
Yeah.
how we're destroying our own planet because, there's a scene or there's a moment where a character is literally talking about, like, people being willing to believe these white lies, even though the truth he says something like, "The truth burns right under their flesh," like, and they
Mm.
just ignore it because it's the only way they can keep going. And,
Mhm.
like, that all that rings really true to, like, what we're watching happen in, real time as people try to ignore and explain away the effects of climate change and ignore what's contributing to that and what's causing it. And so,
Yeah.
I feel like all that metaphor is really powerful, but um I because that's why I said I kinda lost the forest for the trees. I got so hung up in wanting to really understand what had happened, the
Mm,
lore of what had happened to these people, that I think the fact that I didn't get those answers has made that more emotional impact that I think the game was intended to have, didn't fully land for me because I ended up
I
just
see.
feeling a little disappointed after spending all
Yeah.
that time trying to find those really specific answers.
Yeah, okay, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, I think I was like, "I don't know what's going on here, and there's, like, too much for me to understand, so I'm just gonna focus on, like, the characters and, like, the emotional beats." So, like and I think so I came away from it being like, "That was really sweet," and I like what it was saying about how, like, kind of we all need to work together
Mhm.
and contribute in ways that we can. I'm just gonna take that and run with it. So that's funny hearing you say that because I think I could have seen myself also getting frustrated and kind of like um overly indexing
Yeah.
on the pieces that maybe that wasn't the main focus of what they were trying to do.
Yeah, I still think, I don't think I'm levying an unfair criticism of the game that if you're
Mhm.
going to drop those breadcrumbs crumbs in there, make them make sense.
Yeah,
Like,
for sure.
it had these, like, interesting threads that just never really coalesced into a clear picture of what had
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
And it's like I keep coming back to, like, well, okay, but I'm playing Shell. Shell's a little kid. She's not gonna fully understand this. Like,
Sure,
the
that's
adults
real.
in the room aren't gonna 100% explain it to her. But if you get to the quote unquote true ending of the game, Shell is asked to make a decision that feels like she should really probably understand what the impacts of that decision is.
Mhm.
And even then, when you make the decision, you don't really get to see what the effect is or what's
Mm.
gonna play out. So, yeah, if I was, like, grading this game, I'd probably be, like, 3 out of 5 stars. Like, I
Mhm.
think I really enjoyed the exploration. I really enjoyed, like, all of that the time and effort that I put into trying to resolve the mystery, but unfortunately, like, what I got at the end of that wasn't as the journey was more enjoyable than the prize that I got at the end of it.
Yeah.
I still think it's a really well-made game. I think it's a really, really smartly designed game. I think it really
Mhm.
stands out in that regard. Um, but just the writing and lore building was at, like, 75% of
Yeah.
where I wanted it to be.
Like, I was kinda like, "What's going on with this cult?"
Yeah, yeah, there's
"It's a
some
cult?"
interesting stuff there about religion and you can
Mm,
even, you can come across a character that, um I don't wanna spoil things, but, like, directly, like, has influence within the religion. I think the game is, like what I got out of the stuff that they showed about the cult and their religion
mhm,
was this idea that, like, religious institutions are not gonna be what saves us in
mhm.
these moments,
Yeah,
that, like, actually these institutions are not like, the people in the religion are mostly just holing up in their cathedrals, walling
yeah,
themselves off, like locking themselves off from the community and not letting people into their spaces, and while they just basically pray to be
yeah,
saved.
yeah,
And reflecting back of like these institutions are not going to be what saves us in these trying times either. That just as the people in power and our governments probably aren't going to like do what needs to be done to save us. Neither are these religious institutions, and religion as a framework like is basically presented as like a form of copium. Like these people are
mhm.
hiding from the truth of what's happening, and even when you have a moment where you can present something very real to their face that is both proof that their religion is real, but also like uh undercuts some of the things that they are saying and believing and like kind of reflects it back to them, they still kind of like deny it and don't see it for what it is and brush it off and keep doing what they're doing rather than trying to change their actions. So, you know,
For sure.
yeah, there's a lot of neat ideas in the game.
Yeah.
Just
I
doesn't
need
quite totally come to fruition.
yeah, let's I need some, like DLC.
Yeah. Yeah, let's get back out there with Shell and do some more digging. I wanna see what's really in the Everdeep. 'Cause that's the thing
Mhm.
is, like, everybody talks about their throughout the game, there's allusions to a monster in the Everdeep, and
Yeah, it's like,
that's part of this
so what's
mystery of
going
what
on
you're
there?
trying to uncover.
Yeah.
And the Everdeep is supposed to be, like, the area below which anybody ever goes. Nobody goes in the
Mm,
Ever so,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And, like, there's I feel like there's some stuff in there too around, like, technology and how we are harnessing something we don't understand, or
Mhm.
we are building our society on top of something that isn't sustainable.
Mhm.
I got some of those vibes,
Mhm.
or we're depending so much on it that we're losing sight of our own will or our own ability to problem solve, which will ultimately be our downfall type of thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, so lots of threads of interesting lore for sure. Earlier you mentioned, sorry, I'm gonna like do a bit of a change of topic, but
Oh, please go ahead.
earlier you mentioned kind of the kind of Game Boy aesthetic where it's kind of like a frame within a frame, and it's
Mhm.
like the gameplay is happening on a smaller screen, and it's quite nostalgic and kind of, like, retro in its
Mhm.
presentation. How did you feel about that? Like, did was that something that drew you to the game? Were you sort of, how did that affect your gameplay and your perception of the game, if at all? I just feel like I haven't seen many games, like, doing that kinda thing lately, so it felt.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
yeah. I you might have a more interesting answer to this than I do, but I didn't really grow up playing handheld games.
Mhm.
I never had my own Game Boy. My my brother got a Game Boy Color, but not me.
Well.
Yeah. Well, I was a girl. So,
Ah!
yeah, just dumb shit like that.
Yikes.
But then he took his to joke was on my parents because he brought his to school and traded it for one of those little finger skateboards.
Oh my god. Kids are
Yeah, yeah.
kids don't know anything.
He tried to. They got the Game Boy back, and then it was
Oh my
mostly
god.
in a cupboard because he was perpetually
Oh
grounded for not cleaning his room.
my
Anyway,
god.
enough about that.
Wait, he got a Game Boy, what did you get? What was the girl
I don't
equivalent?
remember. I don't remember. I don't remember. I definitely, like yeah, I don't know. It was weird. I didn't really get video games for gifts, even though I was the one, like, sitting with my dad every Saturday morning playing Sega Genesis, but,
Hmm,
whatever.
casual
Yeah.
trauma break?
It is what it is. So yeah, I didn't really have a Game Boy. I don't really have, like, super fond memories of playing on that on a small screen like that. So for me, it was not a selling point for the game.
Mhm,
I thought the pixel art was cool looking, and I could tell that that's what they were evoking, but it didn't really influence me one way or another, or really impact how I thought about the experience.
mm.
Did it do anything for you?
If anything, I felt like I had this perception going into it that it was gonna be super surface level,
Mm.
um, because that's what that's the signals I get from. Which is also, as I'm saying that out loud, I'm like, "Well, that's not true," because even games like early Zelda,
Mhm.
there's some really complex, like, puzzles and secrets to uncover that is in a 2D space. So I don't know, maybe that's just um I've been ruined by contemporary gaming technology, and my standards are all
Mhm.
skewed. But all that to say, like, getting into it, I instead found myself still able to connect emotionally with characters that are just kind of like a handful of pixels, and there's no, like, fancy voice acting or super animated cutscenes. So, like, and yet I still felt like I was having, meaningful emotional beats and moments with the game. So if anything, um, I was pleasantly surprised that I came away from it, feeling like I had a full experience. And shoot, what was the other thing I was gonna say? Um, I guess it just ties into that kind of deceptive simplicity I was talking about earlier, where like the mechanics and level design all came together really well, and so it just kind of felt fun and nostalgic without feeling like I was sacrificing anything to engage with that nostalgia.
Mhm. Mhm. Cool. Cool.
Cool.
Cool. That's cool. Yeah, I mean, the game's not very expensive. It's like 10 or
Mm-mm.
$12 on most platforms, or it's only out on PC and Steam, but or sorry, PC and Switch. But I do think it's worth checking out, even if
Yeah.
it didn't totally hit for me in those final moments. I think if you can if you go in knowing that it's not gonna be like a totally like fleshed out lore explanation for what's happening, and then you can probably lean into just appreciating those themes a lot more and some of the other things that it's doing. I think it really does nail that kind of like more community care uh theme in the game, and I don't know, I think it's cool how many games are I don't know, maybe it's not cool, but there's a lot of games that we've played recently that are really unpacking what it's like to be alive during
Yeah.
apocalypse, like while the
Yeah.
world is ending, while society is starting to fall apart, and what that can look like, and what we as just little old random people can do to try to get through it. And I don't know if that's a theme that we are just seeing more in games people because humans make games and humans are going through this shit and have been going through it for several years now.
Mhm.
Um, or if it or if it's something that you and I are just happen to be being like drawn to inadvertently, like and somewhat unintentionally in the games that we're picking
Mm,
out to play. But it does seem like it keeps coming up as a theme. And it's clearly something that I think a lot of people are wrestling with culturally and in this moment historically.
yeah,
Understandably so.
totally. Mhm.
Yeah. As kind of a final thought, I pulled a really beautiful quote from Will Borger's review for Shack News on the game that I thought really sums up well what I think the game does really well. Will gave the game a 9 out of 10, so really
Wow.
enjoyed it. And the title of the review, if you want to look it up, is Everdeep Aurora Review: Searching for a Home at the End of the World. And the review ends with this quote. It says, "It told me a story made up of stories, restored my belief in the idea that the things we do, even when we are directionless and alone and afraid and all seems lost, can have profound impacts on other people. That we are all in this together. No story is forged alone, no community made by ourselves. We are our choices, and the things we do cast ripples that stretch farther than we can see. I found a kitten sleeping on a bench in the rain at the end of the world, and she helped me remember how to live."
Aw.
So, yeah, go check out Everdeep Aurora. Really special little game that's trying to do a lot and
I
succeeds
like
at
how the
most of it.
game absolutely. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut
No,
you
no,
off
go
there.
ahead. I gave a
I was
pregnant pause, so
I was gonna say something really stupid, which is that I like how the game keeps saying cat child instead of kitten.
yeah, well,
We
she's she's anthropomorphized, so
true.
it's more of a cat child than a kitten vibe. And she's like older than a kitten. She's not like a little baby. She's
She's
like
like medium kitten,
what do you think she is in human? Like I'm maybe
like
like
8.
12? Oh,
Oh,
okay, you
okay,
think even
okay.
younger?
Okay,
I was
yeah,
well, I guess I was reading in, like, kinda that 7 to 12 window
yeah, okay,
before you're a teenager,
yeah.
but you, like,
Preteen.
you understand things, like,
Yeah,
you have a personality that's starting to shape, like, you're a human
you can
person.
use a drill.
Yeah, or in this case, a cat person. You can
Yeah.
use a drill, yeah. Yeah, you can be given a giant drill the size of your body that you can use to break into the earth. Just normal shit. Normal people shit. Alright, time is up for today's session of Pixel Therapy. Thank you for tuning in, and we hope that listening to our thoughts and feelings gave you some thoughts and feelings of your own. If you want more Pixel Therapy in your life, come check us out at patreon.com/pixeltherapypod, where you can sign up for free to stay up to date on everything we have going on. find an archive of all of our content, and even read the occasional blog post about games that we don't find time to talk about on the podcast. You should also check out and subscribe to the Pixel Therapy Pod YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/@pixeltherapypod, where you can find live recordings of all of our episodes, as well as an archive of our past streams. And be sure to support the show by rating and reviewing us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. That stuff is just as important, and we appreciate it just as much.
Finally, since we like to put our money and our energy where our mouth is, we end every episode with a recommended side quest. Just continuing the trend of plugging Operation Olive Branch. It's a grassroots collective effort to amplify Palestinian voices and their GoFundMes. That's tinyurl.com/OP Olive Branch. You can also find them on Instagram at Operation Olive Branch. Again, that's tinyurl.com/OP Olive Branch.
Thank you for that side quest, Spencer. That is our show for today, folks. So go forth, run a story mission, level up some stats, and don't forget an NPC every now and then. We'll be back so soon with some more
Pixel
therapy.
therapy.
One day we'll decide what note we're trying to hit there, but it won't be today. Bye-bye.